Good morning, everyone. We're going to get started. Welcome to today's Clean Air webinar. My name is Selena Fairbank. I am an engagement coordinator with the Alberta Capital Airshed. If you're not familiar with ACA, we're a not-for-profit multi-stakeholder organization, and the air quality data we collect is reported to the public and used to calculate the local air quality health index. We also provide outreach and educational initiatives such as this to increase air quality awareness and address local issues. So during today's webinar, we will be chatting with guests from Everactive Schools, Inside Education, and ACA's own Ashley Jones about air quality education in K-12 schools. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that Alberta Capital Airshed is on Treaty 6 territory, the traditional and ancestral territory of many First Nations, including the Cree, Dene, Blackfoot, Saulteaux, and Nakota Sioux. We acknowledge that this territory is home to the Métis Nation of Alberta. Today, we honor the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit who have been on this land since time immemorial by being thoughtful about the air we breathe and how we can work to ensure it is healthy and life-giving for our Earth, the current generation, and for many generations to come. I invite you to take a moment to consider the land and air from which you join us today. So welcome. With frequent smoky skies and back-to-school traffic congestion, you might be wondering about air quality in and around schools. So if so, welcome to this webinar. This is just for you. We're thrilled to have this stellar lineup of speakers here to dig into this topic with us. If I could ask each presenter to give a little wave as I introduce you, that would be great. So we have Tracey Coutts from Everactive Schools here. We have Kathryn Wagner from Inside Education, and Ashley Jones, who is the educational consultant who developed the Alberta Capital Airshed Teachers Resources. Wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone, and welcome to everyone who is listening live today. So let's get started with Everactive Schools. Everactive Schools' vision is that all students belong to healthy school communities that enable optimal health and learning, and healthy air is a big part of a healthy school environment. Today, Tracey will tell us a bit about active school travel and about the tools and resources that we could use to improve air quality, road safety, and health and learning outcomes in school communities across Alberta. So Tracey Coutts has been involved in school travel planning since 2010 and is the current team lead for active school travel with Everactive Schools. Tracey contributes to the conversation at school, community, municipal, provincial, and national levels to increase opportunities for safe, active travel in their school communities. Tracey's team's goal is to build a culture of active transportation across the province to make it the norm, as the benefits of doing so are too great to ignore. So over to you, Tracey.
Thank you so much, Selena. I'm just going to check. You can hear me okay? Wonderful. So thank you, everyone, and welcome to the presentation, Common Ground, the Air We Share. As Selena mentioned, my name is Tracey Coutts. I work with Everactive Schools as a health and wellness consultant and also the team lead for the active school travel portfolio. Everactive Schools is a registered national charity designed to create and support healthy school communities. And of course, that includes healthy air. And we engage and support schools through a comprehensive school health approach. So what that looks like, this is the framework of comprehensive school health, is that before we begin work on any of our projects, we take a scan and assess the conditions that are needed to ensure the success of that school community or school jurisdiction. The framework of comprehensive school health looks like this. So we look at the social and physical environments, teaching and learning, policy, and we also work with many partners and services to deliver our projects and initiatives. So basically, when we work our projects, we don't just come in and say, you know what, we're going to host one event day, we're going to host International Walk to School Day, and that's going to solve all of your problems. Of course, that is not going to solve all of your problems. It's one piece of, it is one intervention that is going to work towards solving that problem, but it is just one piece. So that's comprehensive school health in a nutshell. So currently, we are running 4 active school travel projects and 1 event in Alberta. So the first being the Calgary Active and Safe Routes to School, and that's funded by the City of Calgary. Our Streets, Our Spaces, activating community play, travel, and connection, and that's funded through the Healthy Communities Initiative Canada grant. Charting Common Ground, aligning school board and municipal priorities to improve active transportation for citizens in Leduc, and that's funded through the Active Transportation Fund Canada, the City of Leduc, and Jumpstart Charities. And Common Ground, mobilizing Edmonton school jurisdictions as active transportation leaders, funded through Alberta Eco Trust and Jumpstart Charities. And the event that we are currently planning is the Winter Cycling Congress for February 2024. For the purpose of this conversation today, I'm going to be focusing on the Common Ground project, mobilizing Edmonton school jurisdictions as active transportation leaders, given that it's being this webinar is being hosted by the Alberta Capital Airshed. So what is active school travel? So active school travel includes any human power means of traveling for all school trips, including trips to, from, and throughout the school day. The ultimate goal of active school travel projects is to increase opportunities for safe, active, and sustainable travel for all Alberta school communities. So what are the benefits? So I'm sure you can imagine some of the benefits, but for us, the key benefits are that active school travel helps to improve health and learning outcomes for children and youth. It supports reduced vehicle volumes and congestion on neighborhood roads and at school sites during drop-off and pickup times. There's improved safety for all road users due to fewer and/or improved interactions between vehicles and vulnerable road users, such as walkers and wheelers. Reduce financial cost to families. That's a huge benefit. Reduce particulate matter and greenhouse gas emissions. And active school travel projects contribute to emissions reduction strategies, be them municipal strategies or national strategies. Now, why we do this work? So transportation and greenhouse gas emissions. So this information was provided by Alberta Eco Trust. And if we look at the Edmonton graph, we can see a breakdown in sectors that produce greenhouse gas emissions. So if you look at transportation and you add it up, what you're seeing is that transportation contributes in the Edmonton area to 31% of greenhouse gas emissions, with on-road transportation, which is what we're talking about, contributing 16%. So that's a very large percentage of greenhouse gas emissions. And that's the area that we target when we're working our active school travel projects. So travel mode choices for trips to and from school, these are percentages in Edmonton. So I'm very happy to say that in Alberta, in Edmonton, Calgary, Leduc, where we're currently doing work, we are seeing active transportation rates that are a little bit higher than the national average. So we have, so the blue graph represents travel to school and the red travel from school. So what we're seeing is around a 27% walk rate, about a 31% walk rate from. We see school busing, which is, of course, is a more sustainable way to travel. We see carpooling on here, more sustainable ways to travel. But what we're working on is that families who are choosing to travel to and from school, just their family in a vehicle. So those are the areas that we're targeting, and what we're looking to do is reduce those numbers and increase our active transportation rates, be them like walking the whole way to school, walking part way to school, or walking and wheeling the whole or part way to school, of course. Okay, so the rationale for travel mode choices for school trips. So again, this is in the Edmonton region. The top reason as to why families travel the way they do is distance to school. So we're looking at about 33% of families respond on family travel surveys that distance to school is a major barrier in traveling actively. Convenience is another one. They find driving to school much more convenient than walking and wheeling, and perhaps busing, perhaps carpooling. Time constraints and personal safety, including weather. Those are the third runner-ups for main reasons as to why families are traveling the way they do. A lot of the feedback that we receive from stakeholders is that traffic safety is a key issue, and of course it is a key issue. But as you can see, it's coming in fourth from the other reasons. So of course we have the distance, we have convenience and time constraints, personal safety and weather coming in the top three, with traffic safety coming in fourth. So school sites. So how do we do this work? When we're initiating project work, we of course start with our school sites. The next three slides that are going to speak to school sites, school jurisdictions, and municipal and community partners. All of those pieces come together to form the project. So they do run simultaneously. So although this is specifically the work that we do at the school site, on the Common Ground project, but of course on all of our projects. So the toolkits that we use is, first of all, we start out with the school travel planning toolkit. Now this is a toolkit, Everactive Schools did not develop it. It's actually developed by Green Communities Canada, and it's offered as a free download on the Green Communities Canada website. It has a facilitator's guide, it has the tools that you can use with your school communities to support school travel planning projects. Everactive Schools, where we come in is that we just have a lot of experience in implementing these projects and using those really great tools. We've also developed another resource. Now, this was in partnership with the Alberta Policy Coalition for the Prevention of Chronic Disease, Active School Travel Subgroup. And what we that resource really helps us to show teachers that this isn't something that they're going to be doing off the side of their desk, that these projects are extremely comprehensive, that they are going to connect with a lot of the curriculum that they're already teaching in class. So that's a tool that we needed to develop, and we developed. And of course, with curriculum changes, that resource changes and evolves as well. The next step is to identify the school teams with students as the center. Students as change agents is a big part of the work we do at Everactive Schools. So what we do when we're setting up those school teams, that often includes school administration, parent councils, teachers, school staff, student teams. They are integral to moving this project work forward. Now, Everactive Schools has come up with a delivery model, with an in-residence delivery model. And this is a 4-day intensive in residence where we take teachers and students through the school travel planning model. So students are involved with data collection. They perform a student-led walkabout. They support traffic counts and traffic observations. They are key in identifying the barriers to active transportation for their school community. And they're also key to finding solutions and building that action plan. Also part of that in residence, now I mentioned the student-led walkabout, but there's also a community walkabout. And that community walkabout is where we invite all community stakeholders. We invite community leagues and associations. We invite our partners. We invite transportation planners and transportation leads at the school's jurisdictions level, counselors, trustees, you name it. Anybody who's interested in being a part of that walkabout is welcome. And this is basically, it's a walk around the school site, around your community, to really see firsthand what those barriers are to active transportation for that school community. The next is, of course, the action planning and implementation. This is the biggest part of the project. It takes the most time because this is where we're finding solutions to those barriers that were identified. And then the school site is left with a school travel plan, and that's basically a compilation of all of the work that we've done to date with that school. There's my image. Okay, the second step is school jurisdictions. Now I say second step, but the second partner, let's say the second stakeholder, is school jurisdictions. So where we start with school jurisdictions is with our active school travel policy and practice recommendations for Alberta school jurisdictions tool that we created back in 2019 with the support, of course, of the Alberta Policy Coalition for the Prevention of Chronic Disease. And from that, they identified 7 key findings and 7 key recommendations for Alberta school jurisdictions, just to get them started down the active school travel route. So with that document, and these documents are a free download on the EverActive Schools website, so please help yourself. But what we look at with school jurisdictions is we look at wellness and transportation policies that support AST. We look at their current policies and whether there's any wiggle room to improve them. We look at implementing, or rather scaling, school travel planning projects to all school sites, because we know they work. We know that when you identify problems and find solutions to those problems as a community, as a school community and broader community, we know that they work. School site designs that prioritize active transportation. So this is where we really like to work with school jurisdictions, planners and transportation leads to look at how those sites are designed and to see where their student loading zones are created, where are located, rather, where the bus loading zones are located, etc. Communication tools that encourage and facilitate active school travel. So how are school jurisdictions and school sites communicating their desire to increase active transportation, or are they? Is there room for improvement? Those are things that need to be considered. And of course, it's great when school jurisdictions can participate in municipal transportation committees. Okay, moving on to municipal and community partners. So support for school site, school travel planning interventions. So EverActive Schools doesn't do this alone. We reach out to organizations like Alberta Capital Airshed, like Inside Education, AMA Safety Patrol, you name it, because this is behavior change and it takes a community to change these behaviors. We collaborate with community leagues and associations. Of course, this is because this is happening in their communities. We need them on board and we need them engaged. We need to create a network of support to increase the impact of the project work. That's vital and helps to sustain the work. We need to align our project goals with that of the municipality, because when we do that, it's not a one-sided relationship. It's not they're helping us to resolve the interventions. They are helping us maybe to put in a crosswalk, to provide enforcement in a school community. No, we're helping them to achieve their perhaps energy transition goals or bike plan goals, and they are helping us. So it's very much reciprocal. Increasing awareness of supportive municipal plans and bylaws. So this is where EverActive Schools does some really good work, because it's that connecting the school jurisdictions and the school sites to goals that the municipality has, and how those school jurisdictions and sites can support those municipal goals. And of course, we do a whole lot of work with active school travel advocacy. So action planning to improve air quality. So we have evaluation. We collect pre and post data collection at school sites to ensure evidence-based approach. Education, increase awareness of active travel benefits, strategies, and policies, including those that relate to air quality. Encouragement, increased desire to build a culture of active school travel within school communities and jurisdictions to induce a shift toward active modes of travel. Engineering, improvements to built environment to facilitate active travel. Enforcement, improve compliance with road parking and idling regulations around school sites. Finally, equity, identifying and addressing transportation-related inequities and addressing them. Okay, so finally, increasing rates of active and sustainable transportation at one school site helps to reduce levels of particulate matter and greenhouse gas emission and improves air quality around that one school. Increasing rates of active and sustainable transportation at a systems level at multiple school sites across multiple schools jurisdictions across multiple municipalities compounds those reductions and has the power to improve air quality across a larger geographical region for the benefit of many. So thank you, everyone. It was very quick. So breathe easier, change is happening. If you need to get a hold of me, that's my contact information. Thanks,
Thank
Lita.
you so much, Tracey. That was wonderful. That was really great presentation. We're going to move from getting to and from school to focusing on how school communities can engage in learning more about the outdoor air quality just outside their school doors. I'd like to welcome Kathryn Wagner from Inside Education. Kathryn's session will provide an overview of Inside Education's Clean Air Responsible Schools, or CARS program, which develops understanding of air quality with an emphasis on scientific data collection and personal action in K-12 schools across Alberta. The session will leave participants equipped with tools and ideas to advance their own air quality education programs. Kathryn Wagner is the Program Director for Inside Education, an Alberta-based environmental education charity dedicated to supporting teachers, inspiring students, and creating a province of informed stewards of the environment and our natural resources. Kathryn has a BSc and B.Ed and 17 years of experience working in environmental education and the social profit sector. Over to you, Kathryn.
Awesome. Thank you, Selena, and good morning, everyone. I'm hoping you can see and hear all the screen and hear me okay. So again, I'm the program director with Inside Education, and I'm excited to share with you all about our air quality education program that we run in schools across Alberta. Hopefully I can move this. I would first like to start by acknowledging that I'm calling from Calgary, or Mohkinstsis, the Treaty 7 territory and traditional lands of the Blackfoot Confederacy, including the Siksika, the Piikani, the Kainai, the Tsuut'ina Nation, and Stoney Nakoda First Nation, as well as Métis Region 3. Inside Education air quality initiatives stretch all across the province, and we respect and honor the Indigenous people that we live, work, and play with every day. Our programs come with an understanding that we are all responsible for ensuring healthy landscapes, including healthy air. So my presentation today, again, it will be quick, just like Tracey, so we have some time for questions. I'll cover really briefly a little bit more about Inside Education, who we are, then go into an exciting program called the CARS Initiative, or Clean Air Responsible Schools. And then I'll take you through a few of the great air quality education projects that myself and the team at Inside Education have had the ability to work on. So Inside Education, our tagline there, supporting teachers and inspiring students. That is what we are all about. That is what we do each and every day. We have a wide variety of mechanisms to deliver that programming, including a full suite of learning resources. We have classroom and field programs, teacher professional development, where we work directly with teachers to deep dive into some of these exciting topics. We have youth summit programs for junior and senior high school, as well as granting programs. All of our programs come with the approach that it's experiential learning, so experiences, hands-on, really getting into the topic, always connecting it back to the curriculum. We focus on key topics with an eye to the future. So things like technology and innovation. And this is why air quality is a great topic to work with. There's lots of cool tech and toys that we can play with in the classroom with students. All of our programs are accessible. We are committed to barrier-free education. So absolutely everything I'm talking about today and all of our programs are available at no cost to schools across the province. In rural, Indigenous, and remote communities. We work from Fort Chip in the north all the way down to the Waterton, Pincher Creek area in the south and everywhere in between. And then it's about bringing together experts representing the myriad of perspectives out there so that we can inform decision makers and support critical thinking in schools. We've been at it for about 38 years now, since 1985, and that's our happy smiling team you see on the screen there. So if you want to know more about us, do check out our website, and yeah, it'll take you a while to deep dive into all of those different topic areas. Okay, so air quality education. We've been doing air quality education since 2015. And it is a really big deal for schools. And right now, it is at the forefront of these conversations. I believe we're at such a critical time for air quality education with, Tracey alluded to it, the smoke issues right now, indoor recesses. Part of the work we do at Inside Education involves outdoor field programming. And this past year, we've had to modify or adapt over 20% of our outdoor field programs because of impacts of air quality. So we're having these air quality conversations in schools with teachers and students on a very regular basis. So it's an exciting time to be part of the air quality conversation and a really critical time to be part of this air quality conversation. Back in January 2023, we led a teacher professional development program all about air quality. And you can see the word cloud that we generated from the pre-survey. Teachers are really interested in this topic. Schools are interested in this topic. Some of the key areas that they were most interested in are: how are local industries impacting air quality? What about the health of their, the school, the student population? How does that change based on air quality indices? And then also the connections to climate change. So that's what we heard directly from teachers. And we spent the whole day kind of deep diving into this and then giving them some tools to monitor and assess local air quality in and around their schools. So overall, the objective of our air quality education programs are that schools, teachers, students have a general understanding of what air quality is, what the AQHI is, how it changes and why that matters, and then ultimately to take action, to do something about it. So air quality is a really excellent topic to connect to schools to work with. First of all, air is everywhere, so it's tangible for students. Just by taking a breath, they can start to connect to some of the air quality topics that we bring into the classroom. As I mentioned before, there's lots of cool tech and toys to play with to get some visualizations of air quality. And there's also lots of curriculum connections as well. And I think we'll hear about that in the next session. So from grade 4, 5, all the way up to grade 12, there's places within the Alberta Program of Studies to bring air quality education to the forefront. So the slide there lists some of the goals of our air quality programs. So the first is to engage students in a positive way to create lifelong environmental stewards. So thinking about really taking positive action and why them as individuals, why their schools, their classrooms can make a difference in terms of air quality. We look to increase understanding, so building that kind of scientific literacy, learning about their local airsheds, learning what air quality monitoring is, how it's done, what are some of the impacts, as well as those connections to climate change, greenhouse gas emissions. It's another hot topic in schools, so it's a great connector to air quality education. Another goal of our air quality programs is to equip schools with air monitoring devices. And I do have a slide that I'll talk about this because I know it's a tricky part because you can't always put the infrastructure within schools, but we've gotten pretty clever at different tools to use with students so they can still have that hands-on experience, still local monitoring without dealing with the school infrastructure. And then ultimately to assist them with the implementation of an air quality project. And I'll give you some examples of those. All these projects aimed to improve local air quality and decrease greenhouse gas emissions. So the CARS program, Clean Air Responsible Schools, pretty clever, I know, is a 4-part program that schools participate in. So the first part is a teacher professional development program. So we bring the group of teachers interested in participating in CARS together. We connect them with experts. We've had all the local airsheds present. We give them some background, some information about the equipment they'll be working with to really set them up for success in the CARS program. So following the teacher professional development program, our team of educators will head out into the classroom and then extend that through a classroom program where we have some fun activities we'll do in the class. We'll introduce them to air quality monitoring, give the students some background in a really hands-on, engaging way. And then the part 3 is where they will get their actual air quality monitoring device. So something where they can measure local air quality and get the data they need to implement a action project. And that is part 4. So then we fully support them in the implementation of the action project. It is absolutely a key part, as Tracey mentioned, to have those students really actively participate in the decision making around their school. So I said I'd talk about air quality monitoring devices, and this is has been tricky. We know that there's permanent monitoring stations. Purple Air is also a fantastic monitor. However, it involves actually connecting to the school infrastructure, and even getting into a school Wi-Fi can sometimes be tricky. So we've gotten pretty clever with the use of air beam monitors, is one we've used in the past. These are handheld monitors where you can take temporary air quality measurements. We've also used Pocket Lab Air for air quality monitoring. And then most recently, we're using something called Tembu. And the Tembu device is, I'll call it semi-permanent in that it's attached to the school with a zip tie. So we can take it off and move it, and multiple schools can then share it throughout the school year, but it doesn't require the handheld system. And then it uses the Internet of Things and a hotspot to collect air quality data from the school. So you can see a little picture of it at the top of the slide there. And the neat part about Tembu that we found is that this data collected is really student friendly. So it comes with the map that you see on the left-hand side of the slide, as well as the Daily Breather weekly announcement that gives some different parameters of what the students are actually seeing and measuring when it comes to air quality. So it doesn't really matter what device you use. We've just had some expertise around it. The important part is that it is really hands-on, that students are collecting this data and they're starting to feel autonomy for it, that they're contributing real community-based data that they can see on a map, that others can look at, they can connect with other schools. And the more hands-on we can make it, the more fun and the more engaging it is. Okay, so some of the school-based projects that have come from local air quality data collection in schools, we've seen everything in the last 8 years. So students can get really creative when it comes to these air quality projects. So from idle-free campaigns, Clean Air Day, events, or information sharing. I will put a link in the chat after of a video that was created, sent out on YouTube to the entire school community. Lots of idle-free initiatives. We've seen schools that have even convinced the busing companies to stagger drop-off pickup times or move locations to contribute to air quality. As Tracey mentioned, the walk, bike to school days and events or more active transportation overall. We've had schools roll out the green carpet for those that have walked to school that day, really brainstorming and getting into it. Or we've had schools inspired by the photo on the right, which is from the Peace River airshed. It's a photo from up there where they made an AQHI lantern, and I think you can get your hands on these light bulbs too, where it changes colors based on the air quality of the day, which would really inform students when they're dealing with things like indoor recess. They can actually see that data, local data, being collected and have a way to visualize it. So whatever the project is, we know it's extra successful when we can share it. So on there's the video screenshot there, students participating in a Clean Air Day with the Alberta Capital Airshed. And then we also got some media coverage in St. Albert with a school that used their Tembu monitor to change local traffic patterns because they noticed that there was a lot of congestion just on one side of their school. So the more you can share, the better, the more we know about it. If you're a teacher and you're tuning in, I just wanted to point out that Inside Education has a lot of air quality education resources on our website. So from different activities that you can do, air quality scavenger hunts, signing up for the CARS program. My colleague Braden is on the call right now. He's taking requests for schools to participate in this currently for this school year. We also have some air quality webinars suitable for students that are recorded on our website as well. I'll also give a shout out to all of the airsheds province-wide. They all have excellent resources on their website. Different activities you can do, and importantly, that local monitoring, so you can see those maps and the data collected and use that directly in the classroom. It's one of the things we do with our classroom programs to really emphasize the local component of air quality monitoring. And for those of you on the call that aren't teachers, I just want to make sure you know that working with schools can really augment the work that you are doing as well. Schools, just like air, are everywhere, and they are great community hubs, great connectors. And because air quality is so top of mind for them, as I said, with smoke days and indoor recesses, it's a perfect opportunity to connect because there's such a strong appetite to learn all about air quality right now. And it's also a great way just to tell them what you're working on. And do know that schools are curious, students want to engage, they want to learn. So yeah, if you're a teacher, check out the resources, or if you are not a teacher, check out your local school, because if we collaborate, we'll all work together and make our air quality better. So that is me. That was my quick 10-minute rundown of air quality education and our CARS program. Looking forward to questions. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Kathryn. The CARS program sounds like a great resource for schools. And also thank you for the shout out to all the airsheds. So we are going to move our presentation from just outside the school doors to directly into the classroom. Ashley Jones will tell us all about the Alberta curriculum aligned resources for teachers regarding air quality. So seeing the link between air quality and environmental components in the Alberta provincial curriculum, ACA set out to create resources for teachers in K-12. In this session, you will learn more about these air quality education materials, how to access them, and incorporate into your lesson planning. Ashley Jones is a passionate educator and self-proclaimed museum nerd who specializes in the development, marketing, and evaluation of programs and initiatives that promote historical and environmental literacy. She is currently the education programmer at the Burnaby Village Museum, where she manages the site's school and public programs. Ashley is also the educational consultant who developed Alberta Capital Airshed's teachers' resources. Your turn, Ashley.
Thanks, Selena. Can everyone hear me? Is that good? Yeah. Awesome. So just before beginning my presentation today, I would like to acknowledge that I'm coming to you from beautiful Vancouver, which is located on the traditional and unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh First Nations. So just wanting to extend my gratitude to be able to live and work on these beautiful lands. So much like Selena mentioned, I was tapped a couple years back, kind of prime pandemic years, to develop some learning packages for the Alberta Airshed, Capital Airshed, in order to create resources that teachers could use and implement into the classroom. So we've developed 3 different learning packages that connect to each of the various school levels, so elementary, junior high, and high school. And these closely align with Alberta's science curriculum, and I'll get into that a bit more in just a moment. So in terms of kind of how I approached this project, there were a few kind of guiding principles that dictated how the work unfolded. The first was a desire to create really comprehensive curriculum connected lessons that allowed teachers to feel confident to teach about air quality within their classrooms, and then to also support those lessons with engaging hands-on activities. Another kind of focus of the project was to certainly, like Kathryn mentioned, focus on local air quality issues using kind of real data and examples from in and around Alberta. I will say that the junior high and high school resources and curriculum itself does have a bit more of a focus on global issues. So that's reflected in the materials, but always with a view to bring it back to the local. What's the so what for students in Alberta? This is particularly evident when we're talking about how weather impacts air quality and how air quality impacts climate change. So, we get into discussions a lot about temperature inversions and wildfires, which are, 2 of the biggest scenarios facing Albertans that kind of lead to poor air quality episodes. Another kind of key goal of the project was, of course, to promote the Airshed and explain its work. So you'll notice in the resources that there's kind of an explanation of how the Airshed model works within the province and how air quality is managed in Alberta. We have, a discussion around monitoring stations, and like Kathryn mentioned, that kind of cool equipment, those analyzers and weather measuring instruments that are used to kind of develop an understanding of the air quality locally. And then we also wanted to explain kind of where that data that comes out of monitoring stations goes. And of course, there's a big emphasis on the AQHI, or the Air Quality Health Index. A big goal of the project was wanting to create an awareness of the AQHI and to provide students with the knowledge and skills that they would need in order to be able to locate and interpret air quality information and forecasts. So the goal is being that, students understand that they can retrieve daily air quality information and forecasts on the Airshed's website and through other means, and to know how to interpret this information and to utilize it to inform their daily outdoor activities. Slide here. So in terms of specific areas of the curriculum that the resources touch on, I will just mention these were developed kind of prior to the 2023 curriculum changes in the province. However, as Kathryn mentioned, there's still a lot of overlap. And in fact, I think with the changes that we're seeing in the curriculum, perhaps even more areas where air quality can be integrated into the classroom. So when we first set out to do the project, certainly the grade 5 curriculum, that unit on weather watchers is a nice link to air quality science. That aspects of weather are still in the grade 5 curriculum, but just a really cursory glance into the grade 6 curriculum, I noticed a lot of connections that would be relevant for air quality science. So, things like the heating and cooling of particles, environmental considerations relating to energy management, factors influencing climate and climate change, including our own personal actions. Those are all kind of areas of the new grade 6 curriculum that I think really lend itself well to discussions of air quality in the classroom. In terms of our junior high alignment, certainly in grade 9's environmental chemistry unit, that's kind of what our target was for the teacher resources that we developed. And then science 30, the unit on chemistry and the environment is kind of what our target was for those. But again, air quality with its so many factors that influence the air that we breathe, I think there's a lot of overlap, beyond what might be listed here. So in terms of some just kind of quick facts about each of the learning packages that we've developed, they can be used for both in-class or online instruction, kind of a vestige of COVID there, but perhaps some of you are still teaching online. They meet the needs of a variety of different learning styles, which is really key for me when developing resources. And the packages themselves are flexible. So while they're designed to kind of scaffold, and each of the activities that are included kind of the first one that you'd address kind of will help you to understand the second. The packages themselves are quite flexible, and you can kind of pick and choose activities and modules and content based on your goals. And all materials are available for free on the Alberta Capital Airshed's website. So I suggest just taking a look at those and seeing if they'll fit kind of what your plans are for the classroom. Just to dive a little bit deeper into kind of how the packages are organized. Regardless of the grade that we're aiming for with the curriculum in the packages, they all contain the same components. The first being a PowerPoint lesson. So that content is organized into modules, and then activities themselves are actually embedded right into the lesson plan and the slideshow themselves. That way, as the teacher is progressing through the lesson, there's moments to pause and to have students engage in activities that are really going to allow them to apply and demonstrate what they've learned. And we've also integrated some fun educational videos kind of directly into the PowerPoint themselves. So along with the PowerPoint lesson, there is a teaching script. The script might be a bit of a misnomer in that you don't have to, word for word go through that, but it's more like a content guide for teachers so that they feel confident and comfortable teaching the lesson. And really, these lessons are created to be inquiry-based. So they're asking students a lot of questions throughout. It's, less of you talking and more of the students participating, engaging, and letting you know what they might already know about air quality. So a lot of discussion kind of embedded into there. I will just mention that there are also recorded versions of the presentations available. So if you prefer to kind of let us do the talking for you, that is an option on your end as well. And then there is, along with the PowerPoint and teaching script, a teacher overview and activity guide. So with each of the different learning packages that we've developed, there's 5 activities in each, and again, those suit a variety of different learning styles. As an example, we kind of have like a summative activity for the grade 5 learning package, and that's a fun Jeopardy game that really gets kids to kind of show you what they've learned through the lesson. So that's quite a fun one that I just wanted to highlight for you there. Yeah, so that's it for my part, and I hope that you'll take a peek at the resources, and yeah, I'm sure we can share the link to them in the chat.
Thank you so much, Ashley, for sharing these resources with us. It's great to be able to showcase all the tools we have available. So we're now going to move into the Q&A session. If I can have the panelists turn their cameras back on. We have about 10 minutes for questions. If you have any questions, please type them into the Q&A box rather than the chat, and I will facilitate our conversation. So we've got some questions for you. We're going to start with you, Tracey. Can you tell us about active school travel in the winter?
Oh, that's a great question. So yeah, weather does impact active school travel. So when we start working with a school community, like we really take a deep dive into like barriers that are preventing them from traveling actively. For some it's winter, but for some school communities that we work with, like they don't have a choice, like they have to travel actively. So what we do is we build that into the action plan. So if we have families, so if that's the case, and it's, you know, those families need you know, warm coats, warm boots, and other equipment to get them there. We like a potential action item might be to start like a clothes closet within the school. That can be, you know, people can, you know, other families can contribute clothing, or we can purchase some new clothing, and it just gets shared. It gets shared, and it's constantly on that cycle. So, you know, we have winter walk day, we have encouragement days to help support, you know, or rather help encourage active transportation in the winter. But for those families that really need to travel actively, that is their main, you know, that is their main transportation mode. We really like to take care of those families first.
Thank you for sharing that, Tracey. We're going to move to a question for Kathryn. When talking with students, what are a couple of the most common questions you get? What are they thinking about in regards to air quality?
Oh, that's a fun question. I think there's a lot of the questions relate to the differences between weather and climate, especially at the younger levels. There's a lot of misunderstanding there or confusion. So I would say that is a big one. Yeah, we get a lot of the kind of sciencey based questions too of, you know, like, what is particulate matter? How come I can't see it? So one of the things we've done, we've made these little like particle picker uppers. Basically, it's like a sheet that we put some like Vaseline on it so it can be to pick up little particles, and then they can look at it under a microscope. So yeah, just building understanding that way. And then at the older grades, it's really about interpreting the data in a way that makes sense. One of my favorite moments in high school classes is when they can look at two graphs or the same graph and get different information. And so really it's like graph interpretation and that kind of work. And then of course, I think the quintessential, like, what can I do? How can I actually contribute? So that is 100% of the work we do.
Thank you. I'm going to direct this question to Ashley. With the school curriculum changing in the coming years, do we see more, less, or the same opportunities to address air quality in schools? I think you touched on that a bit in your presentation.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I think for sure, definitely a lot more. From my kind of cursory glance into what's been happening with the curriculum in Alberta, from what I've seen, there's less of a desire to have like really strict subject matters and different types of sciences kind of separated, and more an integrated approach to science where it builds a scientific understanding for students and kind of really piques the kind of inquiry process. So I think air quality is such a complex topic and it involves so many different factors. And so a more broad-based approach to science where we can integrate different types of science, whether that be, you know, chemistry or, you know, even looking at things like geography and how that impacts weather and climate and things like that. I think that will open up a lot more avenues for air quality to be, you know, a great topic to address in the classroom, to hit on multiple areas of the curriculum.
Thank you, Ashley. This question is for both Inside Ed and Interactive schools. What challenges and opportunities do you foresee in air monitoring in schools?
Do you want me to go first, Tracy, or do you
Yeah,
want
go
to?
ahead, Kathryn, please.
We'll see. Yeah, I think a big one right now, as I said, it's so front of mind with indoor recesses and, you know, trying to figure out risks and actually getting kids outside. I have this like internal fear that we'll just stop kids from going outside because we want health to be a priority, obviously, but like how they make really good decisions surrounding that, I think is a huge challenge for schools moving forward. The opportunity, though, is that it is front of mind, so we can have this really authentic, meaningful conversation. Yeah, that would be, I think, the biggest, for me, biggest one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've had the luck of working with Inside Education for many years now. So we started with the Airbeam 2, and I do have to say that I love the Airbeam 2, and students love it because it's handheld. Like they can hold it up to the exhaust pipe of a car, and they can actually see. It is very visual. They see, oh, okay. So this is what this car is producing. So when we reduce the number of cars in our school zone at drop off and pickup time, I understand improvements to air quality. Like it's very straightforward. With the Purple Air Monitor, Kathryn already mentioned the challenges with installing them, connections to Wi-Fi, and approvals from school jurisdictions, even though they're fantastic. And I'm not, but those are just some of the barriers that we faced along the way as we've tried to equip our schools with those Purple Air monitors. Now with the Tembu is kind of a happy medium. But again, it goes to those student champions because they're the best voice for air quality, in my opinion, and for air quality education, for the importance of active transportation, because when they can see it firsthand and communicate that at the dinner table or communicate it to their peers and staff and whoever will listen to them, like they can really get the point across quite well. So those are just some of the challenges, but also some of the wins that we found with air quality assessment and education.
Thank you. This question kind of follows up on that and how we've been able to track if students have maintained their learning over longer term beyond what is presented in the classroom. I think you just touched on that, Tracy. Do you know of any schools that have started clubs based on their learning, or students reaching out to get a sensor installed at their home? Anything like that?
I do know one example of a school where it was from a CARS program, then the community association ended up doing it because, student came home, told parents who sat on the community league. So there are examples like that. I'm not sure how closely, like we don't track individual students or that sort of thing, but we have, had schools participate in our CARS program or classrooms participate in our CARS program and then go on. We have a grant program called the A+ for Energy. So then go on and submit a grant to do further monitoring or extend that. Or the school I mentioned, bringing it up to city council and getting traffic patterns changed. So long term, it depends on how long term is.
That's really great to hear, though, that you can see those benefits. I'm going to ask Ashley one final question, and then we're going to wrap up. So can parents use the activities to do enrichment at home with their children?
Yeah, it's a great question for sure. They're really easy to use, and particularly to, if you don't want to invest the time in kind of getting really comfortable with the curriculum yourselves, there's the videos too. So that's a nice way to kind of bring that into your home.
Great. Thank you so much, Ashley. So we're going to wrap up there. A big thank you to all the panelists and registrants with their great questions, and to Russ Miyagawa for his technical. We invite you to view past recordings in our Clean Air webinar series available on our website. You can also register for our next webinar taking place on October 18th. This webinar will be an encore of April's webinar, Connecting Air Quality Organizations Across Canada. You can find past recordings, as I said, on our website, capitalairshed.ca. And if you have any feedback about today's webinar, please feel free to send us an email at info@capitalairshed.ca. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and I hope you have a wonderful day.